Welcome back to KUJH's 2024 election coverage. I'm Carol Lyons.
And I'm Emily Sutter.
Polls in Kansas are closed now, and we are just watching the numbers roll in. KUJH's Dak Yampolowski live at the Douglas County Democrat Election Party in downtown Lawrence. Jack, what is it looking like over there?
Hey everybody, I hope you're enjoying your election night coverage so far. We are here at the Douglas County Democratic Party watch event where spirits are high and the crowds are starting to pile up more and more as time goes on here at Michelle's Banquet Hall on 10th and New Hampshire Street, where we'll be until 10 p.m. tonight. Right now, they're starting to get out some food and drinks, which I definitely will be looking into as the next wave of votes comes through. So, actually, they're coming on right now. So while I go check that out, I'm going to send it back to Emily in the studio.
And it is also live at the College Republicans watch party inside Summerfield Hall. Colton, what's it like over there? Even though we did have some technical difficulties there, Colton will still be back with updates throughout the night. Now let's throw it over to Cameron here in our studio.
Thanks, Emily. Yesterday, I got to sit down with a member of the College Republicans to ask about how they've been preparing for the election and also what policies are most important to them. Let's take a look. Welcome to KUJH 2024 election coverage. I'm Cameron McCrory, and today I am here with Josiah Slothauer, a member of the College Republicans. Josiah, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
So, College Republicans, you're a member. What is the mission of College Republicans here at KU?
The mission of College Republicans is to represent the Republican Party at the University of Kansas.
Amazing. So you and I are both students. For many students, most students, this is their first presidential election that they're getting to vote in.
Oh, yes.
How have you guys been kind of preparing for that ahead of time? What are you guys looking at? What are you guys discussing?
Oh, so let's see. Firstly, I could start with the call-ins that we've been doing. That's with the National College Republicans, actually. So we've been calling nationwide and not just here at the University of Kansas, and been basically like, hey, are you voting today or voting soon? Yeah. And just asking people to vote. We also been tabling, I guess really the big main last thing would be a tabling, which we've been doing with Turning Point USA as well. Basically out here on Wesco, where we set up and we'll have discussions with students and kind of represent our organization, basically.
Amazing. So we are now currently one day out from election night.
Oh, yeah.
Have an interesting night ahead of us. In terms of kind of the issues that are being discussed in this election, what are the big ones that you guys are focusing on or talking about?
Yeah, I don't think we've had really like a specific issue that we have focused on, really.
What's one that kind of has stood out to you guys maybe as more important or especially integral in this election?
I would have to say economy on that one. Right. We mainly, generally we've found that the economy we think would be better under Donald Trump. And so that's kind of been a big issue that, well, one of the issues that we've been bringing up, I would say probably has the most talked about, I would say. Right. There's also been, kind of smaller issues just with by individual basis. So yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned Donald Trump and kind of his policies on that. Throughout, it's the last day of campaigning today. Throughout his campaign, kind of what has been his strengths or weaknesses, or kind of what's he trying to do there?
I would say for his strengths and weaknesses with his campaign, of course, right now the Democratic Party, I think I guess comparison with his campaign with Kamala Harris's campaign, I know they've been a little bit stronger with like the abortion argument right now, but right now, I think according to polling, Republican Party has been, and Donald Trump's campaign has been doing stronger with, I think, most other issues, including economy, border issue, foreign diplomacy, and some of the very much stronger issues on people's tickets.
Right. Okay. Absolutely. So if Donald Trump were to win the presidency, what is, you said you haven't had a lot of meetings or discussion, but what's something that once he gets in office, if he does, that you guys kind of would like to see him do first, or focus on the most, kind of right out the bat?
Definitely economy. Of course, that's been definitely one of the issues that I think we have talked about mostly. So definitely dealing with the correct legislation. I don't know exactly what legislation that might look like, but to fix some of the economic issues that we have been having in the last 4 years.
Right.
And yeah.
Okay, and finally, what are your guys' plans? What is College Republicans' plans for election night? Kind of you guys gathering at all?
Yes, we're having a election watch party on tomorrow night, which will be in Summerfield Hall, and we will have a great time there. I don't know exactly what else we've been doing with that. I know we were talking about possibly doing like 2 different live streams with that.
Cool.
So. Yeah, that's pretty much
amazing.
it with
Yeah,
that.
well, it'll be an interesting night. That is all the time we have today, Josiah. Thank you for stopping in the studio and chatting with me today.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned for more KUJH election coverage.
Thank you.
And I also spoke with the president of Young Democrats, another organization here at KU, to talk about the role of media in this election knowledge, as well as the strategies of the Harris campaign. And here's what she had to say. Welcome to KUJH Election Coverage 2024. I'm Cameron McCrory, and today I'm here in the studio with Sophia Herrera, president of Young Democrats here at KU. Welcome, Sophia.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So tonight we are going to chat about Young Democrats, which is an organization here at KU. You're the president. How long have you kind of been involved in this?
So I've been involved since my freshman year. I'm a sophomore right now. I got involved as vice president during a surprise election last year, and then from there I ran from president for this school year, and now I'm here. Amazing.
So we are just one day out from the election. Within Young Democrats, how are you guys kind of preparing for this? In the weeks prior, kind of what are your guys' thoughts so far?
So right now, these last few weeks, we've been doing a lot. Because we're in Kansas and we're associated with Kansas Young Dems, we mainly do a lot of Kansas or Douglas County focused issues or events. Lately, we've had a lot of guest speakers, a lot of who are running in the local elections. We've had, for example, Dakota Loomis, who's running for Attorney General position. We've also had a few Douglas County commissioners, as well as the head of the Douglas County Dems Association. With the national election, at least, we've been having a lot of bonding activities associated with those. So just talking through our opinions about the national election, what issues are most important to us, and some of the activities some of our members have been doing on the national level.
Perfect. So you mentioned the issues that are kind of at stake here in this election. For a lot of students, most college students, I'd say, myself included, this is our first time getting to vote in a presidential election. How are you guys preparing for that? What policies are you guys kind of focusing on the most?
Yeah, so obviously, this is most of our first times voting, mine, myself. And so right now, because of how significant media is in this election, we've been mainly just diverging into the world of how Gen Zers are using the media and social media significantly to not only get us involved in civic engagement, but keep us more politically aware of the issues that are at hand. We've been using, obviously, on TikTok a lot, that's a huge one, and just analyzing some of how Instagram's using its platform to promote the candidates' interests. We've been watching a lot of those and analyzing them throughout our meetings.
Okay, yeah. So within like the kind of social media, other media outlets, what have you guys learned about how students are kind of using these to stay involved in the election?
Well, a lot of us are political science majors or have taken some sort of political science classes, and at least once our professors have talked about how media plays a role in this election specifically. I think it's really important for a lot of us to be very socially aware of how media can be accurate but also inaccurate, and learning how to holistically approach those forms of media. And ultimately, we've just been trying to take an approach that's very neutral, discussion based, and just trying to see the inaccuracies of how we can recognize the inaccuracies in this election, which is so important for young voters, especially when we are playing a role in very, very important issues on the state level and national level.
Yep, absolutely. So talking about the national level, it's the last day kind of campaigning for both presidential candidates. Let's talk about Kamala Harris's strategy a little bit. What have you guys, discussed that? What do you guys see as kind of her strengths so far, as well as any weaknesses?
So for strengths, I really do think that she might be coming ahead in terms of promoting herself to young voters. She has been using media, social media like TikTok, to promote herself, and I think that's a really, really smart strategy. She's also done a lot of media appearances. Just this week, she was on SNL with Maya Rudolph, which I feel like was an extremely smart move, because she's not only appealing to younger voters that watch SNL now, but also to our parents' generation and our grandparents who also have watched SNL. So I think that was an extremely smart move. I think that in terms of maybe potential weaknesses, we did watch her town hall. I do feel like there was a few flaws within that town hall on her end. While I do agree with most of her policy stances and her advocacy, I do really think that she had a potentially missed opportunity to show herself as more of an authentic and real person. There were a lot of questions that the moderator, Anderson Cooper, asked her relating to her personal life, religion, how to grieve, etc. And I really do think that she was tied in the middle of not only trying to stay as a political candidate, but trying not to stray too personally into her life. And I feel like that if she would have strayed a little bit more into being a little bit more vulnerable, our generation could have seen that she is a lot like us. She is like the average American student or person, especially as someone else of color. I feel like that was a little bit of a missed opportunity on her end. But again, I think both candidates using media as a way to show themselves as people in a more relatable fashion is very smart.
Yeah, that's a good point, kind of learning who they are as people kind of just beyond the campaign.
Yes.
Yeah,
sure.
Okay, amazing. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have today. Thank you, Sophia, for taking your time out of your day to stop with me and talk in the studio. Follow along and stay tuned for more KUJH election coverage.
Thank you so much.
The Young Democrats are joining the Dole Institute Student Advisory Board at their watch party tonight. Charlotte James is live at the Dole Institute to give us a look into the party. Charlotte, what's it looking like?
Hi, my name is Charlotte James. I'm here tonight at the Dole Institute of Politics here at the University of Kansas, and I'm super excited to be here for their watch party. Now, it doesn't start till 7:30, so people are still getting set up here. There's lots of crafts and snacks everywhere, so anyone is welcome to join and invited, especially students. I'm super excited to talk to different students and hear their take on the election so far. Leading up to this, these past couple months have been such a roller coaster. So I'm super excited to meet everyone and talk to them tonight. But that's all I have right now. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Charlotte. Both the representatives from college Republicans and Young Democrats discussed the important role of social media in this election cycle. KUJH's Charlie Ann Ortiz takes a deeper dive into how the Trump and Harris campaigns have utilized this tool.
As the 2024 presidential race heats up, social media is once again proving to be a powerful tool. Trump and Harris use platforms like TikTok, X, and even podcasts to share their campaign messages. However, each candidate has developed a unique approach to their social media strategy. Donald Trump is no stranger to the social media world. Known for his unfiltered style, Trump uses X and his platform Truth Social as his go-to channels for engaging directly with supporters. His messages are often bold and blunt. On the other hand, Kamala Harris opts for a more polished tone. Her posts on X and Instagram focus on major campaign issues like healthcare and economic opportunity. In TikTok, Harris and her team often share lighter behind-the-scenes moments, aiming to reach a younger, diverse audience. Beyond social media, both candidates are active in the podcast space. Trump has been recently appearing on conservative podcasts like Joe Rogan's The Joe Rogan Experience and the Nelk Boys' Full Send podcast.
Coming to the speech. I'm making a speech in a little while.
Are you?
As soon as I'm finished with you.
Oh my God.
Harris has taken a different approach, appearing on diverse podcasts like Alex Cooper's Call Her Daddy and The Howard Stern Show.
Madam Vice President, welcome to Call Her Daddy.
Despite their differences, both Trump and Harris recognize the value of social media. Each uses the platforms not only to promote their campaigns, but to appeal directly to millions. Whether it's on X, TikTok, or in the podcast realm, Harris and Trump have been communicating with voters across the country.
Thanks, Charlie Ann. While more election numbers are coming our way, let's get an update from Matthew on more results.
Thanks, guys. So this is what the current board looks like. This is from our friends at the Associated Press, and I want to draw your attention to 3 states in particular: Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. Now, as I mentioned already, those are the 3 swing states that have already had their polls closed right now. Now, before we get into the vote counts, I want to point your attention to some exit polls. These are exit polls that we got from NBC News. They asked voters coming out what they thought the most important issue were, and the issue for this election was. And when it comes to Kamala Harris voters, you'll notice that democracy, foreign policy, and democracy and abortion are the top 2 issues that they're focused on. Democracy, of course, has been an overwhelming theme of Kamala Harris's campaign. Abortion, high in a lot of states right now, where they've passed bans. Donald Trump voters, on the other hand, are focused on the economy and immigration. Again, those are the 2 overarching themes of Donald Trump's campaign. So a lot of what the campaigns have been doing over the last 6 months is really pandering to their voters and trying to get turnout. So let's take a look at some numbers. Now, I showed you already that Georgia is red. This is what it looks like right now. Donald Trump's 56% to Kamala Harris's 43%. North Carolina, it's looking good for Harris, 55% to Trump's 44%. And Pennsylvania, 76% for Harris and 23% for Trump. Now, those are very, very early returns. You should give absolutely no credence to those numbers about what's going to happen here in the next 3 or 4 hours. But it's important to know where we are in the standing right now, because these are very early returns. These are people who voted early maybe, or cast absentee ballots, or put in advance ballots. So it seems like these are breaking very nicely for Harris, but as I said, pay no credence to these numbers. You got to wait till every last ballot is counted. We'll have more as the night goes on. Hopefully we will have some local updates, as well as our polls just closed about 15 minutes ago. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Matthew. Tonight we are partnering with Good Morning Indian Country, who is covering some of the key races and issues in Indian Country. Allison and Shia, what stories are you covering?
Thanks, Kara and Emily. Welcome to GMIC's Election Night. I'm Allison Levering.
And I'm Shia Blackcloud. The Good Morning Indian Country team is following Election Night across Indian Country, and several Native media outlets are covering key races of interest to Native people.
ICT's live broadcast Native Vote 2024 Election Night Live is happening now, offering live updates through 9 p.m. Eastern Time on ICT's website and on FNX. To follow ICT's election coverage, visit ict.org/politics. There you can find their 2024 results dashboard, charting key races across the country, as well as ICT's ample candidate database, which will chart nearly 180 Native candidates who are on ballots nationwide. GMIC's own Jacob Curtis is assisting with the coverage at a watch party for Sharice Davids, who is seeking re-election to Congress from the Kansas 3rd District.
9 Indigenous candidates are running for seats in the U.S. House of Representatives this election cycle, including 4 incumbents: Josh Brasheen, Tom Cole, Sharice Davids, and Mary Patola. Former Navajo Nation President Jonathan Nez is also running in a tight race to be the first Native American person to represent Arizona in Congress.
Just 4 years ago, a national news channel called Native American voters something else during a live broadcast. One presidential election later, Vice President Kamala Harris is pledging her support for tribal sovereignty and self-determination in an effort to win Native voters in Arizona. Every Native votes. As a U.S. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, Cherokee traveled to Arizona, Nevada, and North Carolina to ask Native voters to cast their ballots for President Donald Trump.
According to Judith LeBlanc, Executive Director of Native Organizers Alliance and Action Fund, the Native vote is receiving more attention this election cycle because it made a difference in so many states in the last presidential election and may hold the balance of the outcome in several states this election.
The Native vote is critical for several local, state, and federal elections this year. It could be the deciding factor in 7 states. Arizona, Michigan, Montana, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Compared to the midterm elections in 2022, there have been more than a 44% increase, according to an advanced political leadership. It is looking to be another record-breaking year for the Native vote and Indigenous candidates. We'll be right back with more election news from Indian country in the next hour. Back to you, Kara.
That wraps up our 7 p.m. coverage of this presidential election, but it's not over yet.
Join us back at 8 p.m. here in the studio for more updates on where the votes are going.